Hi, everybody. It's Jeff Fisher of High School Football America, and I'm very pleased to be joined by the national championship coach, Bobby Acosta of IMG Academy, right alongside me here. And unanimous this year. High School Football America has you number one. Max Preps, USA Today. Not a bad triumvirate there. And welcome, Coach. Thanks for joining us. Going to have some fun talking here today.
Thank you, and I'm privileged to be, to have this opportunity to talk with you.
Well, let's just start at the top, right? Three major ranking services have you number one. How's that sound to your ears? And what comes to mind now that you had a chance to kind of, digest the season as a whole?
I know, well, we were going through the process of being a championship football team, and it took a lot of work. And we were preseason All-American or preseason number one, and we went through it. And our goal was to really focus on the process of winning. It was on campus, off campus, and to be ranked number one at the end of this during this difficult time in our country. I give it to my coaching staff, to the players, to really putting this together. It was a heavy lift. If people only knew what we needed to do just to play a game nationally, it was a great lift for us.
But what were some of the things, some of the hurdles you personally had to deal with when it came to, first year, COVID, whatever else the curveballs were going to come at you like?
Well, I started this time last year in January 30th on my birthday, and I wanted to infuse my vision. We started to do team activities. We took the kids to the beach for the final day before spring break, and we didn't see them after that. So we had to launch a virtual learning system where we actually practiced online. We went through a script. Our kids performed the script. We actually did skills and drills. The kids recorded their skills. They send it back to us. We evaluate it and send it right back to them. The parents got involved. The kids got involved. It was a special thing, but that's where we won the championship. We developed that brotherhood at that time, and then we hit some adversity. We had one of our student athletes get in a bad car accident, and we did a Zoom team huddle prayer. And the next day, the young man woke up. So what we learned through this. The entire course of what we're doing, I think it's the reason why we were so successful at the end.
I said before we rolled the tape here on this, I've been saying it all along ever since, COVID, became a word in America that, if anyone was going to be able to figure this out, it was coaches. And certainly we had 36 states playing in the fall. We had great numbers, meaning, no real issues from a standpoint of transmission player to player and all that. But I'd love to have you talk a little bit about the fraternity of coaches and how you feel about from your position and knowing that we did have great numbers, meaning low numbers, how you feel about the way the coaching profession handled this very, very tough time in America.
You just said it, coaches. You can't say no to coaches. If you put a practice plan together, a practice script, we're going to follow that script. And that's exactly what we did across the country. We put a plan together, we put protocols together. I think personally, we helped open up high school football with what we did here. Just the way we hydrated our kids, the way we travel with our kids drill to drill. And, I think with coaches, we're teachers, and we're all about the kids. And I think when you have that focus, any plan that you put out there is going to come together. And if you have a vision of, hey, this is how you're going to do it, put it out there, put it in the universe, because it becomes contagious. And, personally, I spoke with coaches every week saying, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? So, you saw at the highest level, coaches teaching coaches so we can play the game, so we could give our kids opportunities to go to college, get film. And right now we're trying to figure out, how are we going to get our kids recruited? So, that's something that's our next obstacle that we're trying to encounter.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the back end. So you go away for spring break, long time before the kids come back. What were some of the things you did finally when they got back, right? Because yeah, Zoom meetings are great and you can accomplish a lot with them, but there's nothing like, what you got to do to get in football shape, right? So did you have to dial it back a little bit, or tell everybody out there how you handled that so that the kids were ready to get into, game shape?
Yeah, I think what we do here is the reason why, we attract a lot of people, the support and the technology that we have here. Coach Dillman did a tremendous job really assessing our kids, current state. We got the kids back, got them back in shape. And then we started to really, we took it back. We hardly went live. Our practices, we shortened our practices, but we put a lot of focus in skills and drills. And I said, if we're going to be a good football team this year, fundamentally, we're going to be the best team in the country. Scheme wise, it was limited because our kids were very distracted. They were very concerned. So I didn't want to stress my kids in the classroom, trying to learn plays. We had a lot of fun on the field, and the coaches had a lot of fun with our players also.
Four teams in the top 100, our top 100, that you beat to get to the national championship. One of those games was a trip to Duncanville. Everybody wants to beat Texas, right? You guys have taken those long trips. You've gone out west and all that. Tell me a little bit about the trip to Texas and play one of the best there and pick up a huge win, which was a big thing in the chase to the national championship.
Yeah, it's that's the game that our team came together. We left on a Thursday, we got back on a Sunday. It was a business trip for us. We understood the opponent, we respected the opponent, but we put a lot of focus on us. And I said to the guys, I'm like, they're going to play their best football game against us. This is our championship football. If football stops tomorrow, this is the national championship. And we watched the game. We left a lot of points out there also, but as a team, we came together. And after that, it kind of we flew through the schedule, but that was the game that we had circled on our schedule this year.
Yeah.
So when we got there, we performed.
Yeah, and again, it's a road trip, right? It's a business trip. It's a road trip, as you said. What were some of the things you had to do differently for that? I mean, it's one thing staying home and playing some of those in-state teams, but going out. What did you guys do to take extra precautions for that?
Well, just how we travel to the airport, on the bus, our kids are potted up. We had 3 buses. We had to take pictures of the seating arrangement. So if someone did get ill, so we could pull that pod. The airport was a big lift, trying to maneuver through that with almost 50, with a party of 100. So that was a hard lift. And then just the hotel. And, we had to really put ourselves in the hotel. We couldn't allow our kids to wander around. But when we got to the game, everything that we worked for, we put it on that football field, and the kids had a lot of fun that day.
Yeah, I can imagine. Coach, talk about some of the other big games you played along the way. Northwestern, Venice. Like I said, you beat 4 teams in the top 100. Duncanville being the one that kind of changed it for you. But where were some of the other key moments in the season? And we're going to talk about the kids in a little bit here.
Yeah, I think just not knowing who we are, because we have kids from all over the place. We needed to develop that bond quickly, and then still prepare for Venice and Northwestern, and not really understanding who they are, because being the first year here, you don't have a lot of film.
Yeah.
So we kept it very basic, and we just execute at a high level. And now the talent, our players, they make a difference. And it wasn't about the 4 or 5 star kid, and we eliminate that from day one when we enter here. It's about 5 star character young men.
Hmm.
So if you could function, if you could get a group of guys and say, hey, it's all about us, it's not about our 4 or 5 star ranking, you're going to be very successful. And I know this, I usually tell the kids, hey, if I call the wrong play, make me right. So everyone started making each other right. And then we have a quarterback, JJ McCarthy, where he called 60% of his own plays. And when you have that, you can win any football game that we had on the schedule this year.
Yeah, and let's get into some of the players in just a second. But one of the things that we should talk about is your schedule was a whole lot bigger and meatier prior to COVID too. How much adjusting did you have to do there to get to the point where you could actually play 8 games?
It was every week. Every week we had a board in our director's office, and every week we had to have discussions about, all right, we have to move here, we have to move there. Should we pick up another game in the bye? I think the way we constructed our schedule was smart this year, because it gave us the buys at the right time, and just in case if we did have a spike in COVID. And I'm proud to say that we had 1 case this entire season.
Awesome.
And it was because the parent came on campus, took his son off campus, and the dad had it. So, but we did it from top to bottom, And our schedule was very challenging. And hopefully this year we could play that schedule that we wanted to play this year.
Yeah, you always you don't duck anybody. It's getting people to play it sometimes, I guess, is part of the point. You mentioned JJ there, your quarterback. Talk about him a little bit coming in from Illinois. You know, he was one of those kids that you may not have gotten right had it not been for COVID. He would have been staying there at Nazareth Academy. Maybe you would have, maybe you wouldn't have. But talk a little bit about his leadership and like you already said, you know, 60% at the line and making changes. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I met JJ. You know, when we do our research on players, on young men, the first thing I look for is the character. Like I said, there's something about him. His candle was lit. Even before we started talking about football, I'm like, I want to be a part of his life. And so we started to have discussions and Zoom meetings, and he learned the offense in 3 days. And then he had a board in his house like this, and he had the entire board spelled out with our plays, our installs.
Mm.
And by the time he got here, he knew the offense. And then his leadership style was he was a Brady. He had that effect on our players. And you know, it got to the point where we met a lot. And I said to myself, you know, he knows what he wants on third down. So we came up with a call called double 99. Say call whatever you want. I think 80% of the calls he made scored touchdowns.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And
Impressive.
yeah, I don't know if you saw that episode that we have at halftime. He spoke to our players and said, "Hey, they're going to come back with everything they have. They have nothing to lose." And I didn't even have to meet with the kids at halftime because he did a great job with it. But talent-wise, possibly, you know, I coached Joe Flacco
Mhm.
at Delaware, and you know, talent-wise, he's up there with the best. And I think he's going to have a huge impact at Michigan right away.
Well, you dropped the TB name on him there. He's going to Michigan, so much higher than that. Coach, everybody looks at the 24/7, you know, composite rankings. There's a lot of kids from IMG on there, but I'd like you to not talk about some of those kids because, you know, people don't really know anything other than what they see on those boards. But really what I'm going to talk about is the thing you talked about, which is I don't care if you're a 4 or 5 star on that list. I want to see that in the locker room, all the leader. Who were some of the kids that maybe rose above expectations for you and made you a national championship program?
Well, I'm going to tell you this one, and I really hope he gets what he wants in life. Ari Allen. You know, he was our most productive receiver. He's a top lacrosse player in the country. He's 5'8", you know, and but on the lacrosse field, he's a dynamic lacrosse player. So, you know, he has Ohio State for lacrosse. He has Syracuse for lacrosse. So I'm hoping that he has that option to really walk on and you know, chase his passion. But he's the one kid that he's one of our captains, and he's one of the kids that really help us set the bar high for us this year. Tyler Booker, wow, 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 wow. I don't know if you saw it. You know, he was in Sports Illustrated this year,
Yeah.
talking about social justice and said to college coaches, "We're watching you, how you're going to respond to this." So he's a young man that may be president one day. I don't know, and he has that skill
Wow.
set. Malik Bryant on the defense, a young 2023 that I don't know. Like he went against JC Latham every day in practice, and you know JC's going to Alabama,
Not
and
bad.
oh, yeah. And Kamari Wilson, you know, one of the top safeties in the country. So, and then the special thing about this place, you just reload, and we may be better this year coming.
Just, you know, we'll look ahead to 2021 in a second. Well, and tell me a little bit about what you do as a head coach and your staff does to make sure that kids from around the country don't get homesick, come together, all of those things.
Yeah, this is a hard job. And you know, I've been in college football for about 15 years. And so my life is football and my own personal kids. You have to spend a lot of time with our players. Pepper Johnson is my defensive coordinator, and he spends so much time with our kids in the PM. Like I could leave the office and he's feeding our kids Chick-fil-A and going over defensive schemes. So, this is a 15-hour day job.
Mhm.
And if you have a kid homesick or he has a situation at night, you're there. You're that person. So we become the parent, and we're the coach. We're the mentor, and it's a hard job. And people think IMG. If you really come behind the curtain, it's we put a lot of hours in.
Yeah. How much did your college experience help you? I mean, almost put yourself in a situation, had you not been at the college level, would this been an eye-opening, overwhelming experience for you maybe?
Yeah, I wouldn't have been prepared for this job. From my experience at Syracuse to being a head football coach at Winder University to my Division III experience to my professional experience to my high school experience, I'm using all that experience at one place here. I don't know anything but really college football. So that's how I'm running this program with that mindset of get our kids ready for college so they have a huge impact that freshman year. That freshman year in college is when kids could go either way,
Mhm.
and they're getting that experience here. So when they get to Alabama, J.C. Latham, Ja'Cory Brooks could have an impact right away.
And one of the other jobs you have, and you touched on it a little bit. You said you kind of peel back the onion a little bit, like, okay, kids, we know you like the 24/7. You want to see where your name is on that list. But aside from letting them know that it doesn't matter to you at this point, right? What are some of the things you actively do? And what happens if a kid does kind of start drinking his own Kool-Aid on that rankings list?
Yeah. Well, the first thing we tell our guys is to put the work in and not worry about the rankings. But recruitment is a big part, or college placement is a big part of what we do. So we do football in the morning, we do college placement in the PM. And constantly we're communicating with coaches, and our kids, they have biweekly meetings with us to talk about their recruitment. So we set the expectations right away. This is who I think you are. If we spire you up, I think this could be where we can spire you to. But this is our safe schools. These are financial aid schools that our kids have a clear roadmap going into their college experience. And now you have to educate the parents also, because the expectations sometimes are way too high. But our kids here, they're humbled. And I think we're about 95% right now with the college placement rate. We have a couple more kids to go, and where recruitment is right now, it's hard.
Yeah.
So but being from IMG, I think that gives us a little advantage in the recruiting world.
Yeah, so combine this answer here. So, A, what's it mean to you? And obviously, we have an early signing period now, but on signing days, I guess is the best way to put it. How rewarding is that for you? And what have been the challenges this year because of what COVID has done to scholarships and on-campus visits and all the things we already know about?
Yeah, I just think that my rule when I was at Syracuse was you offer 5 kids to get one.
Mhm.
Now schools are offering 20 something kids to get one. Now it's leaving a lot of our kids out of the mix. Colleges are recruiting college student athletes right now. And so what I'm telling our guys is to really get to know the coaches. We have to Zoom tour now, and you have to make a decision earlier. Recruitment, you can't flip the hat on the day of signing day anymore because the spots are limited.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get our kids to narrow down their search so they can focus on building a relationship with the coaches, and so they can make a great decision about their future.
Well, you teased everybody, and everybody loves for our preseason rankings to come out. We keep making them earlier for some reason. I guess it's the fans want it, but you teased everybody saying you may be better coming up. So who do you have coming back? And then probably you might as well get ready for this one. We talked about the schedule. Who do you have locked in so far that you can talk about, or is that sort of? But
Yeah.
anyway, let's start with the players first.
What's unique about this job is that my total focus is on the development of our kids and our staff. Coach Hageman became my director. He was my offensive line coach last year, and he's tackling the staff, the schedule. So I'm not really focused on that right now. But we do have about 5 or 6 games on the board right now. But player wise, I'm excited about this season because we're here the full cycle. Kids like Tyler Booker, he understands and knows what this feels like. Kamari Wilson, Malik Bryant, Dominic James, they understand the expectation. This team right now is being player led, and the fact that our kids could lead a run and that coaches could work on development, um, it's going to be a powerful thing. And that's why I'm so excited about this year. Last year at this time, I came in, I'm like, ooh, we have a lot of work to do. And the biggest thing I saw was lack of discipline, and, I just watched the games, the penalties we were about 20, 21 penalties a game.
That's a
It got
lot.
to the point where this year we might have had 2 or 3 a game, so that's the biggest thing I think we changed with our culture is the discipline that we have within our culture.
Well, congratulations to you. Congratulations to your staff, and especially the kids. They're the ones that got it done. You get all the glory. You get to do the interviews here, but at the end of the day, as we say, that's what's great about football. It's a team sport. So congratulations, coach. I know you're already, as you said, you're grinding for 2021, and here's hoping that it's a little less challenging. Let's put it that way. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.